Well, we're down here in South Florida where boating is just about a way of life, and with us today is marine expert Travis Pope, and he's with 24 Hour Marine, and he's going to help us understand the maintenance that we need to perform on outboard engines.
First thing you want to do here is you want to check your gear lube on your outboard motor. Now, if it's been stored up north, it may have been winterized, which means it would have been drained. You have two plugs, one here, one here.
Sometimes the drain plugs can be very hard to remove. They get kind of tight after a while, so I'm going to use an impact screwdriver to break them loose.
Now you want to take out the top one, let the air out of the lower unit. Tilt it down and let the rest drain.
And I've got a high viscosity lower unit gear lube here, but they're not all the same, are they?
No, they're not. You want to check with your manufacturer. Some of the newer engines require a synthetic type of oil, which is also a different weight. What you want to do is fill it from the bottom and wait for it to come out the top.
What's the next step in the lower unit maintenance?
Well, you want to check out your propeller and the condition of your propeller. As you can see, this one's pretty banged up. We're going to replace it first by removing the Carter key and then removing the nut.
Now let's get started.
Now what you want to do is remove the thrust washer, inspect the prop shaft for any damaged seals or any fishing line that may be caught up within the prop shaft. And what we're going to want to do next is grease the propeller shaft using the proper marine grease.
After the propeller shaft has been properly lubricated, and just before you put the propeller on, make sure it's clean and there's no obstructions in there. Reinstall it onto the propeller shaft.
And to continue on with the maintenance, what you're going to do is lubricate your grease fittings, also known as Zerk fittings. You have one located here for the steering and two up here for the steering cable. Check out your shift cable, your throttle cable, linkages, electrical connections, hoses.
Well, the first step in changing the spark plugs is to remove the spark plug wire, and of course you want to carefully twist that back and forth to release the seal. This is a great time to check the condition of the spark plug wire too. You know, look for cracks and dry rotting or anything that doesn't look right. And then at the same time of changing the plugs, you could be putting on new wires as well. Before you install the spark plugs, it's a great idea to put some anti-seize compound on the threads. After all, these are aluminum cylinder heads, and you want to be sure that they don't get stuck in there. As a matter of fact, anti-seize compound is good on any spark plug thread, and it really helps you to get them out the next time you want to. After you get your spark plug torqued in there properly, the next step would be to put some boot protector on the tip of the spark plug, just like so. And what that does is lubricates the boot, and it also prevents spark from splashing out along the side of the boot and arcing the ground.
Well, Jim, this boat has been sitting for a while, so the first thing you want to do is really check out the fuel system. You want to go through the fuel lines, make sure of any dry rots or cracks. Check out the primer ball also, make sure there's no dry rot in it.
They do crack and dry rot, don't they? If you need a new primer bulb, you can get one at Advanced Auto Parts. They do come in different sizes, so if you're not sure which one you need for your boat, check with an Advanced Auto Parts team member.
What we're going to do here too is take a fuel sample.
I'll give you a little squirt.
Now we want to be sure that there's no water or debris inside your fuel.
And so you'd actually be able to see the water in the bottom of the container underneath the gas. There's more of a clear liquid. And you know, some boats actually have a fuel water separator system on them, and those boats have a filter like this. And so if you have a boat that needs a water filter, be sure you change that about every 20 hours or so.
And the next important thing you want to check is the battery terminals themselves. You want to make sure that your wing nuts are nice and tight, and also your battery cables are in good condition.
That's right, Travis, and we also want to make sure that the terminals themselves are clean and not corroded, and a spray like this works just great for taking care of problems like that. And also we want to make sure all the other electrical connections and wiring, including the fuses, are in good shape, because out on the water those types of things can work themselves loose. And finally, we can check the charging system on the boat to make sure that that's in good shape. And to do it, all you'll need is a voltmeter set on the proper range, and then connect the voltmeter to the battery terminals. First you turn the ignition switch on, but don't start the engine. The red lead goes to positive, the black lead goes to negative, and we'll take our reading, and that's what we call system voltage. And whatever that reading is, just write that down. The next thing you do is start the engine and make sure you have at least 1 volt above system voltage. And if you do, the charging system is working just fine. Well, last but certainly not least, we want to be sure we have a bilge pump that works properly.
Absolutely, and also if your boat does live in the water, you want to have a float switch that is in working condition.
Well, when it comes to maintaining the boat's hull, we've got a couple of things to consider, don't we, Travis? We have fiberglass hulls and aluminum hulls. So help us out. How do we maintain a fiberglass hull boat?
On a fiberglass hull, you want to use a good wax, prolonging the life of your gel coat.
Okay, and how about the bottom? Anything we have to do there?
Well, say your boat does live in salt water, what you want to do is use a good bottom paint on it.
Okay, and that will help protect the, I guess, the fiberglass from
Sure.
the elements of the salt water. Now, how about barnacles and algae and things like that?
If you do have barnacles or algae on your boat, what you could do is get some muriatic acid, put it in a bucket, give it a good scrub, and a good rinse.
Sounds good, but we can't use muriatic acid on aluminum, right, because it stains it? Well, what do we do with aluminum then?
Well, aluminum, you just want to use a good, powerful degreaser.
And a good, stiff bristle brush. Well, when it comes to safety, especially out on the water, we just can't say enough. You might want to have a nice little toolkit like this. It's got just the essential tools that you might need to make any mechanical or electrical repairs out on the water. But the Coast Guard says that we need some other things too, don't they?
Yes, they do, Jim. You want to have good Coast Guard approved life vests, enough for as many persons who are going to be on the boat, along with a good throw cushion.
And a quantity of flares that have not exceeded their expiration date.
Same with the flare gun. You also have an expiration date on your flares here.
Coast Guard says you got to have a good loud whistle or a horn.
You want to check with your fire extinguisher, make sure the expiration date hasn't expired either.
And if you have one with a little gauge on it like this, be sure the needle is in the green or the full area. Bottom line, check your fire extinguisher at a regular interval. Well, I think we've covered all of the maintenance items that we want to on the boats. We've talked about the motor and the hull and everything we need to do. And we're ready to get these boats out on the open water, so we're going to do that right now.